One of my favorite routes is the M103. I like to take it from the Upper East Side, but you can start up in Harlem. This route will show you the Upper East Side, Midtown, Murray Hill, Gramercy, East Village, NoHo, Nolita, Little Italy, Chinatown, and the Civic Center. Then from there, if you still have time, you can take the ferry on Wall Street and travel up the river. When it's not rush hour and I'm not in a hurry, I actually prefer riding a bus. It's above ground, so I get a chance to view the city and observe the neighborhood. If you are new to New York and want to get familiar with the city, I highly recommend taking some bus rides during off-peak times like early on a weekend morning. Or if you can, the middle of a weekday. Welcome to Urban Caffeine, where we caffeinate ourselves on urban knowledge. My name is Thea, and today we are going to talk about a topic that some of you have asked for: New York City buses. One thing to realize about New York is that it's massive. To give you some perspective, the area of New York City is larger than Singapore, Bahrain, or St. Lucia. And mind you, these are all countries. Having said that, not all parts of New York are accessible by the subway, which is the most popular form of public transportation. Most of New York City's subway system sits on Manhattan and extends to parts of Queens, Brooklyn, and the Bronx, leaving the rest of New York to be bridged by using the buses. Buses are not just useful for reaching the extremities of NYC, but also the in-betweens of the subway lines as well. Crosstown transportation in Manhattan is very limited with the subway, so buses are very useful in traversing the east-west directions of the island if you don't want to walk. As a tip, most crosstown buses are named after the street they run on, and we will soon talk about how these buses are labeled. If you want to learn more about Manhattan street grid layout, I made a video with the link in the description below. In this video, we are going to cover the types of New York City buses that are available, the cost of fare, and how to pay for these because some of them you pay when you get on and others you pay beforehand. Then we are going to talk about bus stops and how to board. We will also go over how transfers work. And to finish off, we are going to talk a little bit about accessing the bus map. So let's get started. There are 4 types of buses out in the wild. I wish I could say they're color-coded or that one looks significantly different than the other, but unfortunately that's not the case. Although in general, some buses are distinct enough. To really differentiate each bus, you would have to look at the designators at the top and pedestrian side of the bus, which we will go over one by one, starting with the local buses. This is your typical run-of-the-mill New York City bus. They can be blue and white or dark blue. A bus typically runs a route within just one borough or cross into a second one. The letter at the front of its sign signifies the primary borough the bus is operating in. M signifies Manhattan, B for Brooklyn, Q for Queens, BX for the Bronx, and S for Staten Island. Limited buses are just like local buses, but they make fewer stops. They stop only at busier stops or popular transfer points. To identify the limited buses, they will have the same designators as the local buses, but with the addition of something like LTD or limited stops. Before you get on, you can always ask the driver if they are stopping at the stop that you want. Select bus service buses are usually these blue and gold buses, and their signs a little more glitzy compared to the local buses. You find these on routes with high commuter traffic. They cost just as much as the local bus, but they operate a little differently in terms of how you pay and how you board the bus. That's because the select bus service are meant to be subway-like in nature, where you just get on and get off without the holdup of having to pay right when you get on. It's supposed to make for a faster operation. And we will talk about payment and boarding in the following chapters of this video. To identify these buses, they will have the addition of SBS Plus or Plus Select Bus or something similar on their sign. I say something similar because if you have seen my subway videos, you already know by now that inconsistent signage is a common thing. Express buses have a completely different fare, and I'd be careful not to get on one of these, because you might find yourself at the very outer bounds of Queens or any of the other boroughs, and it's hard to simply turn around. These buses are mainly to connect the outer portions of New York City to Midtown or Lower Manhattan. To give you an idea, for example, a line that goes from Queens to Manhattan will make stops on this portion of Queens, then will blaze through this portion and make several stops in Midtown Manhattan. As you can see, there are no stops for a good stretch through Queens, so it would not be fun to accidentally get stuck and have to travel back. But it's pretty easy to know you are on an express bus because they have coach seating. The local bus interior will look like this, while coach seats look something like this. So it's pretty unmistakable that you are on the wrong bus. If you are a tourist staying within Manhattan or near Manhattan, you will most likely not need to use an express bus. As for their designators, they can be marked with an M in combination with the borough they are serving, or simply with an X. Local limited and select bus service all cost $275 and the express bus costs $675. There are senior and disability discounts available, and you can find out more on the MTA website. Children under 44 inches are free. There are 3 ways to pay on the bus: with a Metro card, with coins, or tap and pay with a touch-free reader. So let's break these down, starting with the Metro card or single ride ticket that you can get at a ticket machine at a subway station. I made an entire video on everything you need to know regarding the Metro card. Link is in the description below. A Metro card is either filled up with a cash amount or an unlimited ride. If you're riding a local, limited, or express bus, you board through the front door and there will be a machine next to the driver where you can insert your Metro card. If you are riding a select bus service, listen carefully. At the bus stop for select bus service, you will see these machines. One is if you have a Metro card, and the other is if you have cash. By cash, I mean coins, but no pennies. Everybody who uses the select bus service, whether they have an unlimited ride or they are paying for a single ride, still needs to use these machines. Press the start button. Then you will be asked to insert your Metro card. If you have unlimited rides on your Metro card, the machine will let you print out a paper ticket that will let you board the select bus service. If you don't have unlimited rides, the machine will charge your Metro card $275 and print you out a paper ticket. According to the MTA website, if the machines at the bus stop you're at don't work or are out of service, you can board the bus without paying and pay at the machines at the bus stop that you're going to get off of. Because we all know everybody abides by the honor system. Unfortunately, you can't reload a Metro card or buy a Metro card on these machines. So if your Metro card is empty or you don't have a Metro card, I suggest going to the nearest subway station. Not all entrances of the subway will have a Metro card machine, but all stations should have at least one. If the entrance of the subway station that you enter doesn't have a machine, try another one. You can pay with cash using exact change, but not with bills nor pennies, just quarters, dimes, and nickels. And for non-Americans, these are 25 cents, 10 cents, and 5 cents. And up to 25 coins. To pay with change on local, limited, and express buses, board through the front door and there should be a change box where you can drop your cash into. For select bus service, look for the machines next to the bus stop that has coin slots. In general, it's the smaller machine. Follow the instructions to print out your paper ticket for the bus. You can also pay directly with your smart device or credit card with NFC capabilities. This method is to pay for single rides only. Like I said in my Metro card video, which is linked in the description below, if you want to have unlimited rides, you will have to use a Metro card. This might all change in 2023 when New York has revamped its whole payment system, but until then, Metro card. OMNY is short for One Metro New York, and this is the reader. For local, limited, and express buses, the OMNY reader should be functional at the front of the bus. So board the bus at the front to scan your payment. For select bus service, you should be able to pay at any door to use the OMNY readers. So you don't have to use the machines next to the bus stops. You can just board directly on the select bus service and scan at the door. Bus stops are tricky. For some areas, you can easily spot the stops. They are sheltered, highly visible, and some are neatly labeled. And then there are some that you kind of have to look for because they're just a small blue lollipop-looking sign. Where the sign is planted is where the front of the bus will park, and this is where you wait. For the local, limited, and express buses, you have to board on the front because you pay as you enter. Common etiquette is that you deboard at the back door so as not to run into the people onboarding at the front door. But many people exit through the front, and I have yet to see someone get tackled or arrested for doing this. For select bus service, you can board and deboard at any door as long as you have your paper ticket or pay with the OMNY readers, because this bus was meant to function like a rapid rail system. And speaking of getting off the buses won't automatically stop at every stop like the subway. You have to notify the driver when the next stop is yours by pulling on a string or pushing the request stop button. If you happen to be on the bus late at night, you can ask the driver to drop you off on any location along the route so that you'd have a shorter walk to your destination. This goes the same for the express bus minus the express portion of the route. Like I said in my MetroCard video, if you have unlimited rides, transfers don't really apply to you. But if you pay for a single ride, you have one free transfer within a 2-hour time period from when you paid. The free transfer is good from bus to subway, or subway to bus. If you are coming from a subway or bus to an express bus, you will have to pay the difference in fare. To get your free transfer, just use the same MetroCard or same method of payment with the OMNY reader. If you pay with cash, tell the driver you need a transfer and they will give you a printed transfer ticket. When riding the subway, you will come across the subway map quite often because they are posted in the stations and on the train. So the subway map is pretty accessible. With the bus maps, it's a little harder to come by because the MTA publishes the bus maps according to the boroughs. So there'll be a bus map for Manhattan, a different one for Queens, and so forth. So you can't really get a bus map that overviews all the 5 boroughs the way you do with the subway. The better way to view bus routes is by using an app. And this way, you can see all the inner borough bus lines, and since there are so many routes, it's easily overwhelming when you just look at a printed map. But with an app, you can isolate routes so that it's a little more user-friendly. Google Maps and Apple Maps can show you these bus routes, but I actually prefer using apps dedicated to just showing you the bus routes. And with apps, you can see a live view of the bus, so you can make a call whether you want to ride the bus because it's near or far from where you are at. And since you are above ground, you can easily see if traffic is moving fast or slow, and you can make that call whether you want to use the bus or another form of public transportation. For the longest time, I never took the bus. The biggest blocker for me was the inaccessibility of the maps. I had no clue where I was going, and I didn't know how to board or deboard the bus, and that was quite intimidating. But after getting over this blocker, I now actually prefer using the bus over the subway as long as it's not rush hour. And that's all I've got. Thank you so much for watching. Liking, commenting, and/or subscribing to my channel counts as engagement, and it's engagement that keeps YouTube channels alive and thriving. Until next time, thank you for watching and happy New Yorking.